I have an heiress best friend. She always took good care of me. Until one day, she sold me to her Marcus. A cold, powerful CEO. Just because she wanted me to be her sister-in-law. I exclaimed, death before dishonor. The powerful CEO coldly tossed out a marriage contract with incredibly generous compensation. I replied, maybe a little dishonor occasionally wouldn't be so bad after all. Just like that, Marcus and I got married. Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and let us know in the comments where you're listening from. Chloe, look. It's Marcus's first love. Mia's eyes lit up as she stared at the naive-looking woman walking into Marcus's office, nudging me with her elbow, clearly enjoying the show. I looked at the book in my hands, not even raising an eyelid. I know this plot better than you do. It's been done to death in novels. Seeing my indifference, Mia slumped down next to me. Aren't you worried? I looked at her, puzzled. Worried about what? Have you forgotten, Marcus and I have a marriage contract? Mia affectionately hooked her arm through mine. I wouldn't mind if you really became my sister-in-law. I coldly pulled my arm free. Thanks for the flattery, but I can't accept it. Mia pouted, why not? Marcus is handsome and wealthy, why are you always so dismissive? I nodded in agreement. You're right about that. Mia's face brightened, then she heard me continue, however, Marcus also attracts a lot of flings and countless admirers, and I don't have time to waste on that. But with your skill, dealing with them would be effortless, wouldn't it? Mia said dismissively. I already said, I don't need to do something like that. Too lazy to continue the chatter with her, I put down the book and stood up. Seeing me about to leave, Mia quickly followed. Chloe, where are you going? Aren't you waiting for Marcus? I stretched. Home. As for Marcus, he probably won't be done anytime soon, so I won't bother him. Reuniting with his RST love after so many years, they must have a lot to talk about. To my surprise, Mia held on to me, stubbornly dragging me towards Marcus's office. Don't say that, you should at least say goodbye to Marcus before you leave. Let's not. My entire body radiated resistance as I struggled to move towards the elevator. Yes, you have to. Mia pushed me with a strong arm, sending me right to the office door. Then, without even giving me time to react, she knocked directly on the door. Marcus, Chloe says she needs to talk to you. Come in. Marcus's voice immediately sounded, seemingly with a hint of relief. What a surprisingly strong woman. She was so small and thin, yet so strong. I shot Mia a resentful glance and opened the door. Just as I was trying to stall for time, walking as slowly as possible, Mia darted in right behind me. Marcus, I brought your sister-in-law to you, Mia said, boasting about an achievement. Marcus looked at her with an appreciative tone. Your allowance will be doubled next month. Thanks, Marcus. Mia gave him a fawning smile. Traitor, I muttered softly beside her. Mia ignored me, pretending not to hear, her large eyes sparkling with burning curiosity for gossip, drifting towards Serena, who sat on the sofa with reddened eyes. Marcus, since your darling is here, I'll take my leave now. We can have dinner another time when you're free. Not wanting to show weakness in front of outsiders, especially in front of the darling of the man she liked, Serena stubbornly got up and headed out. However, her movements were not decisive, she deliberately slowed down, as if intentionally waiting to be asked to stay. Yet, who should have understood the hint, simply stared intently at me, like he was blind to her, and only gave a faint acknowledgement without even looking at her. Serena didn't get an excuse to back down gracefully, and left with red eyes, fuming. Bye-bye then. Mia annoyingly waved triumphantly at her back. As soon as Serena left, the atmosphere in the office immediately grew quiet. Mia tried to push me towards Marcus, and winked and made up a story. Chloe, didn't you just say outside that you really wanted to go home with Marcus? Hearing this, Marcus raised an eyebrow, looking at me with an amused expression. If looks could kill, Mia would have been reborn hundreds of times by now. This time, I was the one who firmly held her arm, not letting go, and said through a fake smile, having you with me is enough. How could I bother Marcus with such a small matter? After saying that, without waiting for Marcus to react, I dragged Mia and started to walk out. I had already said my goodbyes before heading home. If she dared to cause any more trouble, I wouldn't mind to sacrifice a best friend for a greater cause today. Who said you were bothering my work? Marcus said, closing his folder and walking over. Then he pulled me into his arms. Since my darling has personally come to pick me up, of course, I have to accompany my darling home. I finally knew where Mia learned her ability to tell blatant lies. It turns out the leader sets a bad example for followers. Marcus was the one who said he had something to discuss, which was why I came to the company. How did it turn into me specifically coming to pick him up? Let's go, darling, Marcus whispered softly near my ear. It was just a marriage contract for show. There was no need to use such an endearment. But, what was he thinking? Ever since we got married, he particularly liked calling me that. I had tried subtly reminding him, attempting to correct him. Every time, he pretended not to understand. At first, I was very uncomfortable. I got goosebumps all over. By now, I had gradually become numb to it. Darling, what are you thinking about? Seeing my distraction, Marcus chuckled and called out to me again near my ear. His voice was already magnetic, and now he had deliberately leaned close to my ear, coupled with the warm breath caressing my neck. My heart immediately skipped 2 beats, betraying me. Oh, my poor eyes. Mia teased me. She dramatically covered her eyes with both hands, but her fingers were spread wide, watching with great interest. Marcus, don't prepare dinner for me tonight. I'm already full from all your PDA. Mia then joked with Marcus. Marcus gave her a big playful tap on the head. I haven't even complained about you being 1,000-watt super third wheel in the way. Mia clutched her head, looking at her own Marcus like he was an ungrateful person. Abandoning loyalty for attraction, burning bridges. Once these two started bickering, there was no end to it. I took the opportunity to quickly exit the office. In the empty hallway, the heat on my face finally subsided, and my heartbeat gradually returned to normal. I clenched my fists. There wasn't much time left until the marriage contract expired. I absolutely could not fall for Marcus. Absolutely not. Chloe, can't you really stay and continue to be my sister-in-law? Mia asked, unwilling to give up. I stirred the coffee in my cup. You're milking the same source dry, aren't you? How can you call that milking the same source dry? Mia protested. Then I saw her eyes light up as she looked behind me, with a look of someone enjoying the show. Chloe, your trouble's back. Her tone was full of schadenfreude. What was she acting crazy about now? I ignored her and took a sip of coffee. What a coincidence, Miss Chloe, we meet again. You and Mia like to have afternoon tea here too? Hearing that voice, I felt the coffee in my mouth suddenly become even bitterer. It was bitter yet more fragrant and rich. No wonder Mia suddenly changed her demeanor. I glanced at the coffee in Serena's hand. Coincidence? Didn't you see us outside the cafe and deliberately came back to say hello? Exposed so bluntly, Serena's face flushed with anger, and she no longer bothered to maintain a pretense of friendliness with me. She said furiously, how see? Would Marcus marry such an impolite and crude woman like you? If I hadn't gone abroad to study, you wouldn't have had the chance to step in. You're not even fit to carry Marcus's shoes. Serena, who usually appeared as a delicate naive-looking woman in front of men, now transformed into a sharp-tongued woman. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Mia couldn't stand it anymore. Adopting the demeanor of a Hayes heiress, she declared, Chloe is my friend, no matter what. Even when you hit a dog, you look at its owner. I gave the agitated Mia a speechless glance. Hit a dog? Look at its owner? Well, I'll be. With just one sentence, she demoted me from a human to a dog. Are you an ally or an enemy spy? Thanks a lot. Well said, please don't say it again next time. Me carry his shoes? Doesn't he have hands himself? I said blandly, without much emotional fluctuation. You. Serena was speechless with anger. She'd never met anyone as unconventional as me. Then she smiled again, triumphantly saying, you don't know yet, do you? Marcus invited me to dinner at a 5-star hotel tonight, and it's a candlelight dinner. Oh, really? Congratulations. I boredly forked a piece of cake into my mouth. It seemed a bit too sweet. Keep acting tough here then. Serena didn't believe I was truly unaffected at all. She left, tossing that remark haughtily. It seemed she had only returned to greet us specifically to tell me this. Chloe, do you think she knows we'll also be attending the candlelight dinner tonight? Mia asked me, enjoying the show. Who knows? I absently twirled my fork. Actually, not only Mia and I would be attending tonight. All university alumni would be there. Marcus was hosting an alumni reunion. As soon as I entered the venue, I saw Serena in the crowd. Mainly, she was indeed very noticeable. Serena's makeup was exquisite, and she wore a designer gown, looking like a princess. Clearly, she had put a lot of thought into her appearance. I had to admit, Marcus truly had good taste. Saint. In contrast, I was as inconspicuous as could be, my overall appearance utterly plain and monotonous. If hadn't been clinging to me, I suspect I might not have even been allowed in. I automatically found an inconspicuous corner and started casually eating the buffet dinner. But's own sister, the Hayes heiress, Miss, seemed unable to stand me having some peace. Mia, who had gone to greet Marcus upon entering, came back fuming and complained to me, a bunch of blind fools. They all knew Marcus was married, yet they were still complimenting and fawning over how well Serena and Marcus matched, calling them the golden couple of Sterling University that year. It infuriates me. And she kept telling everyone not to gossip, but I could tell she was lapping it up. Her smile was practically splitting her face. Seeing fuming with anger, I handed her a drink. Have some water to calm down. Mia tilted her head back and gulped down most of the glass. Not only did her anger not subside, but she even started to complain about her own Marcus. Honestly, Marcus, how could he have such poor taste in college, even getting involved with Serena? Good thing Serena went abroad shortly after. If she had really become my sister-in-law, I would have died of disgust. I definitely would have run away from home. Everyone has had their naive and clueless moments, I said casually without much thought. Hearing my words, Mia, who seemed to have thought of something, suddenly calmed down and looked at me with a mischievous grin. Really? Then what kind of guy did you like during your naive and clueless college days, Chloe? I was taken aback by her question, my gaze shifting. I never had a naive and clueless period. That's not right, Mia pressed on. I distinctly remember you liked the bad boy in a suit type. Speaking of which, that day you first met Marcus, could it be that you were so captivated by his looks, seeing my emotionless robot Marcus in a suit, that you vaguely signed the How dare she even bring that up? That day, I had pulled an all-nighter and had just fallen asleep when she called me to the Hayes estate in a great hurry. My groggy self, not fully conscious, ran right into Marcus, completely unprepared. Mia distinctly said Marcus wasn't home. By the time I was fully awake, I was married. Seeing all those zeros on the marriage contract, I could understand why my groggy self would sign it. But that was no reason for her to sell me off like that. I reached up and covered Mrs. Mouth, manually muting her, and said in a dangerous tone, "Am I such a shallow person?" Threatened by my gaze, Mia wisely shook her head vigorously. Only then did I release my hand. Mia caught her breath, but then smirked even more triumphantly. Chloe, I knew I was right. I carried a plate of dessert and sat back on the sofa, not speaking. That's how Mia was. The more attention you gave her, the more energetic she became. Sure enough, seeing my lack of reaction, Mia disgruntledly sat next to me. Chloe, are you really not worried? Serena clearly wants to get back together with Marcus. Let them. Marcus hasn't even said anything. Why are you so anxious? I truly didn't understand. No. I don't like her. Mia reacted strongly. If really plans to get back with her, I'll run away from home and move into your place. My place is too humble for a big shot like you, I refused. You're right, Mia agreed. Your place is indeed a bit too small. Hey, I protested. Isn't that a bit too rude? But it's okay. I'll ask Marcus for money, have him buy me a big house, and then we can still live together. Clever clogs, Mia said gleefully. Mia, where are you trying to kidnap your sister-in-law, my darling, too? Marcus had also come to this corner. Caught red-handed, Mia stuck out her tongue. Marcus, I was just kidding with Chloe. You'd better be kidding. Marcus gave her a warning glance. He gestured with his eyes for Mia to move aside and make room for him beside me. Mia rolled her eyes impatiently and muttered under her breath, he's even jealous of his own sister, a bit too possessive. But she still obediently gave up the empty seat. Darling, now that you're here, why didn't you come over to find me? I've been waiting for you. Marcus pulled me into an embrace and said plaintively in my ear. I uncomfortably tried to shift away, but he held me even tighter against him. I saw you were busy, I said with a dry laugh. He sounded even more wronged. I was clearly looking around, busy waiting for you, but you just wouldn't come over. Marcus's hot body temperature radiated through my clothes, making me feel a bit parched. Darling, why aren't you saying anything? And he even deliberately lowered his voice, his breath suggestive, continuing to tease me. Just as my brain was overloading and about to crash, someone finally came to call him away. Marcus regretfully released me. Darling, wait for me. We'll go home together later. Tisk, tisk. As soon as Marcus left, Mia immediately moved back next to me and said disapprovingly, Marcus gets so clingy whenever he's with you, it gives me goosebumps. I took a sip of my drink to calm my racing heart. Marcus was really too good at this. Chloe, I'm serious, please consider it. Live with me, Mia said, looking at me eagerly. I felt like sighing at her words. I didn't know whether to pity Marcus, whose own sister was poaching me, or Mia, who was definitely in for a beating. Miss Chloe, why are you hiding in such a corner? Why don't you go say hello to everyone? Serena looked down on me condescendingly, acting haughty. I couldn't be bothered to waste energy on someone who was clearly looking for trouble. But these kinds of people, even if you gave no reaction, she would just keep blabbering on. Serena scornfully looked me up and down. Miss Chloe's outfit is a bit too shabby, isn't it? Are you deliberately trying to make Marcus lose face and be looked down upon? I wore an utterly bewildered look. Was she overestimating me? Or underestimating Marcus? Mimicking her posture, I pretended to evaluate her, looking her up and down. Miss Serena, dressed so dazzlingly, you'll certainly add a lot of prestige to my darling's image. I emphasized clearly the words my darling. I rarely used the word darling proactively, unless it was for show. And sometimes I'd be forced to call him that by Marcus. And when he pushed me too far, I'd use it to beg for mercy. From an experiential standpoint, it actually worked quite well. I was satisfied to see Serena's expression change. But that wasn't all. I extended my hand, looking at the wedding ring on my ring finger. Miss Serena, since you know Marcus and I are married, next time you see me, just call me Mrs. Hayes. I think that sounds much better. Hearing this, Mia, who was next to me, couldn't openly laugh, so she just shaking with suppressed laughter with her head down. I thought that after all that was said, Serena would have been so angry she would leave. To my surprise, she actually held back this time, taking several deep breaths right there. Miss Chloe, Mrs. Hayes, I was just trying to be helpful. It's one thing not to dress up, but having such a bad temper won't make you popular. Really? I conspicuously caressed my wedding ring in front of Serena. Since I'm already married, not being popular with others is actually more beneficial for my and my darling's long-lasting marriage, isn't it? Thank you for your blessing. Serena's face changed color again and again in anger. Ugh, how boring. I pulled up Mia, who was practically collapsing on me from laughter. Let's go. Mia wiped away tears of laughter, her laughter endless. Chloe, my cheeks hurt. Her cheeks hurt from laughing, right? I was speechless. Just as I was about to turn and look at her, I was pulled into a familiar embrace. Didn't you promise me you'd wait for me to come back so we could leave together? You broke a promise. Essie again. Marcus was back. Failed escape attempt. I could only reluctantly ask, are we leaving? Are you leaving? Yes, let's go. Marcus looked at me with a doting smile. Darling is leaving, what would I stay here for? Marcus. Serena called out to him, unwilling to give up. Didn't you promise the class representative that you'd find another place to chat with me and the class representative later? How can you break a promise? Marcus, who had been called, looked displeased, his expression returning to its usual coldness. Oh. That was something the class representative asked me to pretend to agree to. He wanted to find another place to talk with you alone later. I was never going to go. Seeing as you're so particular about keeping promises, I'm sure you won't break a promise to the class representative, will you? Serena's face instantly went pale. It's well known that the class representative was interested in her. A private invitation like that was most likely for a confession. Marcus couldn't possibly be unaware. Thinking this, Serena's eyes reddened, her eyes filled with tears. Marcus, I know I hurt you by going abroad to study, but do you really have to be so heartless? Stop. Marcus said sternly, holding me tightly as if afraid I'd run away. I wasn't going to run. Mia and I had our eyes wide open and our ears perked up. Indeed, watching the drama unfold live was the most exciting. Miss Serena, the last time you came to Hayes, I made it clear to you then that you and I are merely ordinary alumni. You yourself know this well. I used to be too lazy to pay attention to baseless rumors and gossip from outsiders, but now I'm officially warning you. If I hear any more related rumors in the future, I will have Hayes's legal department sue you directly for damaging my reputation and disrupting my marriage. Marcus's words were stern, and his face was as cold as ice. This time, Serena couldn't hold back anymore. Tears streamed down her face, making her look pitiful as she cried. Marcus not only remained indifferent but also leaned down and kissed my forehead. I, who was enjoying the show, was startled by his kiss. It wasn't like I couldn't accept it. Just as I thought that, my lips also felt a warmth. So, that kiss on the forehead was to test my receptiveness? Marcus's kiss was actually just a light peck, a brief touch and then gone. But, blushed easily, I covered my face with one hand, unable to bear it, and turned my head to lightly lean against his shoulder, my ear tips bright red. He should at least show some restraint. Marcus gently patted my back and coldly continued to Serena, also, Miss Serena, I heard what you just said. Thank you for your blessing, Miss Serena. Chloe and my marriage will certainly last forever. Devastating blow. Serena stumbled away crying. Meanwhile, my face was burning red. Marcus heard it. Then he must have heard me say my darling. I was utterly mortified. As soon as we arrived home, Marcus pulled me directly into the study. Then he locked the door, led me to the chair behind the desk. He slowly sat down, then with a pull, I lost my balance and straddled his lap. This posture. What are you doing? My voice trembled, betraying me. Marcus chuckled, adjusting my position by holding my waist, and then pressed down firmly. His suit was perfectly tailored, and as he sat, it tightened slightly, making a certain area even more noticeable. I couldn't help but let out a soft gasp. Good girl, help me unfasten my cufflinks. Marcus kissed my cheek, looking at me with a smile. My face was hot, and my mind was fuzzy, but I obediently did as told. Marcus's hands were beautiful, with long, slender, well-defined fingers. His wrists were also very attractive. So you really do like bad boy in a suit, huh? Marcus played with my fingers, a smile on his lips. My face instantly flushed. Where exactly did he start listening from? He couldn't have heard everything from beginning to end, could he? No wonder that time I wore a suit. You seemed particularly enthusiastic and proactive. I thought it was just my imagination. Marcus leaned close to my ear, his breath hot. So you really liked it then? I wrapped my arms around his neck, buried my shockingly red face in his chest, pretending not to hear, refusing to look up like an ostrich. Darling, your ears are so red they look like they're bleeding. Marcus brushed away the stray hairs from my ear, his voice tinged with amusement. I reached to cover them, but he caught my hand. Then, a warm, moist sensation touched my earlobe. My body trembled slightly. But that wasn't all. Marcus quickly shifted his attention, and my earlobe was then gently bitten in his mouth. My hands, clinging to his shoulders, tightened involuntarily. Marcus wasn't doing much better than I was. Judging by the sensation coming from beneath me, he must have been enduring a lot of hardship right then. Yet, he simply refused to take it further. Darling. I begged him. Marcus chuckled, his voice slightly hoarse. You only willingly call me darling at times like these. Want it? He deliberately asked me. I rubbed my neck against his, unable to bear it. Here? Or back in the bedroom? His hand slowly caressed my waist. Hearing that question, I sobered up a little. In the study? Isn't that a bit inappropriate? What's inappropriate about it? Marcus said, thrusting his hips upward slightly. My body went weak, and I almost groaned aloud. He was teasing me again. I couldn't help but glare at him, but with my flushed cheeks, I had absolutely no intimidation factor. Alright, I won't tease you anymore. Marcus's lips curled into an indulgent smile as he licked away the tear that had been forced out of the corner of my eye. I instinctively winked, closing my eyes briefly. The next second, Marcus supported my thighs and stood up directly from the chair. Startled, I quickly wrapped my arms tightly around his neck, causing Marcus's chest to tremble with his laughter. Darling, you actually wanted it in the study too, didn't you? Marcus coaxed me softly in my ear, his voice seductive. Facing his persistent mischief, I flushed and bit his neck. Alright, I get it, I know my darling, who likes a bad boy in a suit, blushed easily, Marcus said, laughing as he carried me out. He still said it. I began to bite harder. Marcus let out a muffled groan, pressed me against the study door, and said in a dangerous tone, Darling, stop biting. Unless you really want to try new positions in the study tonight. Was he getting excited from being bitten, rather than hurt? I quickly released my bite and looked at him, honest and obedient. That's a good girl, but I still need to collect some interest. After said that, without waiting for my protest, he leaned down and kissed me. His kiss was forceful and deep, and my legs, wrapped around his waist, involuntarily tightened. When the kiss ended, Marcus buried his face in my neck, struggling to steady his breathing, his hand pressed against the door, clenched tightly. Darling, really not in the study? He asked in a hoarse voice, his eyes red from holding back. I was also nearing my limit, and hesitated. Then, before I could even finish my sentence, Marcus turned around with me in his arms and placed me on the desk. It was so fast that I barely heard the click of his belt before we were skin to skin. Marcus let out a sigh of satisfaction, and I trembled all over. Afterward, we still returned to the bedroom. Originally, our marriage contract, Marcus and mine, did not include sexual relations. Because it was just a show for Marcus's parents, who were pressuring us to get married. As a result, one time when I was drunk, faced with Marcus's attractiveness, I couldn't resist the temptation and audaciously pushed him down and had my way with him. After I sobered up, all I could do was take responsibility. It seemed there was nothing else. Although, with a cold F. Ace said he couldn't push me away that night and that he was also responsible. And that we were both adults, so I shouldn't worry too much. Actually, I had some suspicions about Marcus regarding that night. But hearing him explain it like that, not only did my suspicions vanish, but I only felt more guilty. To be honest, I really wanted to just follow an excuse to back down gracefully he provided and pretend nothing had happened. However, with words already spoken to this extent, if I truly acted so irresponsibly, it would be too much of a jerk. So I proactively suggested that I could grant him one request, anything he asked, as long as I could do it. Marcus politely refused several times, but seeing my firm attitude, he suggested modifying the clause regarding sexual relations in the marriage contract, changing "not included" to "by mutual consent." This way, my actions would be rationalized and wouldn't count as a breach of contract. I had a vague feeling something was off. Seeing my hesitation, Marcus immediately said it was fine if I didn't agree, to just pretend he hadn't said anything, and that I didn't have to agree to any of his requests. In that situation, what could I, the one who had taken advantage of him, say? Of course, I could only quickly sign the new marriage contract he brought. And ever since that clause was changed, the entire situation had completely spiraled out of control. Looking at the aloof Marcus, it turned out he was so good at flirting. I already had no resistance to his attractiveness, and with this contrast, I was even more helpless. By the time I realized that perhaps even that drunken night had been planned by Marcus, I was already addicted to the experience and couldn't pull myself away. Sigh. Beauty can be a trap. I let out a long sigh. This couldn't go on. Marcus and I were inherently from two different worlds. Once the marriage contract ended, it would be better to quickly go our separate ways. After thinking about it, I got you. Intending to pack my luggage first. It would make moving out easier then. My feet touched the floor, and just as I tried to stand with force, my legs suddenly gave out, and I nearly fell to my knees. Marcus was truly something else. I held my waist, my legs weak, inching towards the bathroom. It seemed we still needed to go our separate ways as soon as possible. Marcus caught me red-handed at the door, trying to leave with my suitcase. Oh no! Those two words instantly flashed in my mind. I dropped the suitcase and bolted towards the bedroom with lightning speed. Having escaped into the bedroom, just as I was about to close the door, a large, well-defined hand reached in. Marcus grabbed my wrist and forcefully threw me onto the bed. I braced myself with my hands on the bed, not yet having time to sit up. He was already kneeling on the bed, then enveloped my entire body beneath his. Darling, stay calm. I wanted to cry but couldn't. I am very calm, Marcus said, smiling at me, but his hands firmly held my wrists. I subtly twisted my hand in a show of weakness. Darling, you're gripping me a little too hard, it hurts. Does it hurt? Marcus asked softly. I nodded obediently, assuming he would lighten his grip or let go of me entirely. But this time, the truly angered Marcus remained completely unmoved. Good that it hurts. Only when it hurts will Chloe learn her lesson. Marcus crossed my wrists together and held them down with one hand. He stared intently at me, a smile playing on his lips, and slowly began to unfasten his tie. Seeing him in this bad boy in a suit persona, it couldn't be what I was thinking, could it? Alright. It really was what I was thinking. Marcus used his tie to tie my hands directly to the headboard. Darling, being tied like this is very uncomfortable, I pleaded with him. And also, it felt truly shameful. Marcus ignored me, his fingers gently caressing my face. Chloe, you're always like this, you only remember to willingly call me darling at times like these. Exposed by him, I didn't feel embarrassed at all. Instead, I asked, don't you like me calling you darling? I love it, of course I love it, Marcus said with an indulgent smile. Every time I hear you willingly call me darling, I can't help but want to kiss you. Before he even finished speaking, he leaned down and kissed me forcefully. As if to punish me, Marcus kissed me for a long time this time. He only mercifully released me when I was almost out of breath. Tell me, what were you planning, pulling out your suitcase? Running away? Marcus, whose mood had finally improved, began to settle accounts with me. I wasn't running away, I explained. If you weren't running away, why did you run when you saw me? Marcus didn't believe me at all, convinced I had a guilty conscience. It was his fault. The moment he saw the suitcase in my hand, his face turned terrifyingly dark, which was why I instinctively wanted to run. I really wasn't running away. Our contract is almost up, isn't it? I just wanted to move some things back to my old place. Even though I spoke sincerely, Marcus's face grew darker and darker. Good, very good. Marcus gritted his teeth, looking as if he wanted to bite me directly. I couldn't help but shrink my neck. Darling, I'm afraid of pain. If you really are going to bite, remember to be gentle. Marcus looked at me, frustrated but wanting me to do better, then actually lowered his head to bite my neck. I cowered, my eyes tightly shut. But the pain I braced for, as if facing death, never came. Marcus buried his head in my neck, letting out a soft sigh. Chloe, what am I going to do with you? I stared at the ceiling and blinked. Chloe, even if the marriage contract expires, I won't divorce you, Marcus said slowly and resolutely, then added affectionately, I like you. But once the marriage contract is over, there's no need for us to live together anymore, I reminded him. Chloe, I said I like you. Marcus ped my face, not allowing me to dismiss it, and seriously repeated it, looking directly into my eyes. My ear tips reddened. Your liking came out of nowhere. What if I told you I had love at first sight with you even before we signed the marriage contract? Would you be scared? Seeing my wide eyes, Marcus smiled. You really are scared, so cute. He kissed my eyes, then explained in detail, actually, I had already seen you before we signed the marriage contract that day, on Mia's phone. Mia calling you to the Hayes estate that day was also because she heard me say I wouldn't be home. I was actually there, staying in the study, just waiting for you to arrive so I could accidentally run into you downstairs. Why would you like me? I asked, confused. I just really like you. Just looking at you puts me in a good mood, I feel so at ease, Marcus said. I met his gaze. His eyes were clear and sincere. I pursed my lips and tugged plaintively at my wrists, still bound by the tie. Then why are you still tying me up? Marcus sighed helplessly. He leaned down and began to untie me. But halfway through, he stopped. Promise me first that you won't run away once I untie you. I promise, I won't run, I replied immediately. Only then did Marcus continue to untie the rest of the tie. Just as I was about to pull my hands back, Marcus caught my wrist. He gently caressed the red marks, then leaned down and kissed them lightly. His warm breath feathered against my wrist, and my sensitive body trembled slightly. Chloe, we're not getting a divorce, are we? Marcus looked at me, a smile playing on his lips, his voice seductive. His smile entranced me, making my head spin. I almost nodded instinctively. Luckily, reason returned just in time. I took a deep breath and voiced my true concerns to him. Marcus, I'm actually not very good at maintaining long-term intimate relationships. Since our relationship is still quite harmonious now, why can't we just maintain this friendly? Why harmony and separate peacefully? I really don't want the day to come when our relationship becomes bitter enemies, never speaking again. I don't want to ruin the friendly relationship we have now. But haven't we always gotten along well these past 3 years? Marcus didn't accept my explanation. That's because there was a contract, I confessed. To my surprise, Marcus laughed when he heard that. If that's the case, then we can just sign another contract, right? It's not about the contract. I was getting a little frantic. Double the compensation, Marcus added. Undeniably, I was shamefully tempted. And no, I shook my head, struggling, wanting to resist a bit more. That wouldn't be fair to you. Triple, Marcus said, knowing exactly how to play me and upping the ante. For me, as long as you stay by my side, nothing else matters. Reason told me I shouldn't agree even for triple. It wasn't worth agreeing to, even for triple. Marcus was simply too addictive for me. But facing Marcus, who seemed seemingly confident, but with a hint of doubt in his eyes, I finally sighed in resignation and wrapped my arms around his neck. You said it, triple. Marcus immediately broke into a smile. The kind of smile that showed immense relief. I knew it. Darling, even if you don't say it out loud, you like me in your heart too. As spoke, he leaned down to kiss me, but with a forceful flip, I reversed our positions, pinning him beneath me. Marcus looked confused. I straddled his waist, picked up the tie that had previously bound me, and smiled innocently. Darling, I want to try using it too. Heh. I hold grudges, you know. I mentally gritted my teeth. To my surprise, Marcus not only cooperated by raising his hands high but also laughed knowingly. Oh, so this is what you're into, darling. I froze for a moment. Then, realizing what he implied, my face flushed crimson. Who's into this? I tossed the tie and tried to get off the bed, but Marcus grabbed me by the waist and pulled me back. I like it, Marcus whispered coaxingly in my ear, while tucking the tie back into my hand. So, darling, will you continue to play with me now? I mumbled, my ears burning.